Underwater whale trap farm. 1,000-year-old underwater structure in Norway may reveal ancient whale trapping secrets. A remarkable underwater discovery off the western coast of Norway is giving archaeologists fresh insight into how early coastal communities may have hunted whales over 1,000 years. Now let's explore this story in detail and uncover the facts on our AI podcast.
Imagine for a second that you are walking through this dense, completely wild forest.
Oh, yeah.
You're miles away from civilization, right? Just pushing through overgrown brush, stepping over rotting logs. You totally expect chaos because, well, nature is beautifully inherently chaotic.
Exactly.
But then, right in the middle of nowhere, you trip over a perfectly straight, knee-high brick wall.
Right.
Your brain just immediately short-circuits because, instinctively that nature does not build in perfect, deliberate lines.
It just doesn't happen.
Right. And that sudden, jarring shift from natural chaos to human geometry, that is exactly what researchers just found hiding under the freezing waters of the North Sea.
Welcome to today's deep dive, where our mission is to explore this incredible recent archaeological discovery.
Yeah, it's a completely mind-blowing sight.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at a 1,000-year-old underwater structure off the western coast of Norway, specifically near the narrow channel of Grindasundet.
Right, which is pretty close to the village of Tellevåg, not too far from Bergen. Exactly. And finding this perfectly arranged underwater fence, it's a massive aha moment. We so often think of ancient survival as this solitary, primitive struggle, Just a guy with a spear.
Oh, totally. The rugged individualist myth.
Right, but this deep dive is going to show you a level of engineering and strategy that legitimately rivals modern operations.
It really does. Because when archaeologists surveyed the seabed in this specific tidal channel, they didn't find the usual scattered rocks and sand that you'd expect.
Just the chaotic debris of ocean currents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, they found a continuous belt of stacked and deliberately placed stones stretching over 25 meters across the waterway.
25 meters.
I know, right? And what's fascinating here is the forensic logic they used. Natural ocean currents simply do not produce continuous, consistent lines of stacked stones.
Right, water scatters things.
Exactly. This deliberate layout is basically the smoking gun for human construction. And they didn't just find the wall. There's also a secondary feature right next to it, a massive circular rock mound.
Yeah, measuring 15 meters wide and several meters high, which is huge.
It's a massive amount of material.
Yeah.
Now, while its exact purpose is still kind of unclear, it was likely an additional feature or maybe a later modification to the main trap.
But, before we can understand how they hunted, I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure, go for it.
If the ocean is so volatile, right, massive storms, tidal shifts, isn't it possible this is just a weird natural reef? I mean, how do archaeologists definitively separate deliberate human stacking from a millennium of shifting tides?
Well, that level of skepticism is exactly what you need in underwater archaeology.
Right.
But the specific unnatural geometry of that 25-meter line is what isolates it. Glaciers leave behind ridges, sure, but they're a chaotic mix of gravel and boulders.
Just a jumbled mess.
Right. And a natural reef has an organic, sprawling growth pattern. The stones here are explicitly stacked, meaning smaller stones are wedged to support larger ones in a consistent leveled line.
Wow.
Yeah, nature disperses, humans assemble. This was definitely assembled.
Okay, so human hands built this. That means we have to ask the obvious question, what were they trying to wall in?
Right.
And the answer is actually hiding in one of Norway's earliest legal codes.
Yeah, the Gulating Law. It's a foundational legal framework from early coastal Norway, and it explicitly describes coordinated whale hunting along the coast.
Which is wild to think about. A medieval law about trapping whales.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the law proves this wasn't just some random opportunistic hunting.
Right.
It was a highly institutionalized practice. It was governed by strict societal rules because the resource was just that valuable.
So they were intentionally guiding these massive whales into narrow bays or inlets like Grindasundet.
Yes. And once the whale was inside, the community would mobilize to block the escape routes using barriers.
Here's where it gets really interesting, at least for me. Because if you look at the geography of the fjord, it acts almost like a natural cattle chute.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like in modern farming, where they use a funnel system to safely guide a massive, unpredictable animal, they didn't fight the ocean, they used the landscape.
They absolutely did.
But wait, I want to zero in on a key detail from the sources here. Were these stones the actual physical wall that stopped a 40-ton whale? Or was it just the foundation?
Definitely just the foundation.
Because I was thinking a loose stone wall would just get obliterated.
Oh, completely smashed. Yeah, the stones themselves were absolutely not the standalone barrier. They were the anchors.
Okay, got it.
The sources suggest they used heavy nets, thick ropes, and large wooden palisades to block the channel. But if you just stretch a net across a tidal channel, the current alone will sweep it away.
Let alone a thrashing leviathan.
Exactly. So they wedged heavy wooden poles deep into the stacked stones. The natural buoyancy of the wood pulls upward, and the massive weight of the stones holds it down.
Creating a state of constant tension, that is brilliant.
It really is. The stone belt is just the permanent skeleton that survived. The organic materials rotted away centuries ago.
So engineering this underwater anchor system is genius. But an anchored barrier doesn't just catch a whale on its own.
No, not at all.
Executing this trap required an exhausting, dangerous physical toll.
Yeah, we're talking about a process that could take several days to complete.
Several days.
Yeah.
Wow.
The villagers would rapidly mobilize the second a whale was spotted. Boats were deployed immediately to herd the animal, and the barriers and nets were dropped to seal that exit.
And then they just had to wait it out.
Well, they worked tirelessly to contain and exhaust the animal. This raises an important question about their knowledge of the local waters, actually.
Because they'd have to know exactly how the currents work.
Exactly. Coastal societies had to perfectly predict tides, whale behavior, current strengths. It was a massive adaptation to their environment for pure survival.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Just imagine the sheer adrenaline and exhaustion of a multi-day standoff with a literal leviathan.
It's terrifying to even picture.
Right. It's basically a medieval emergency response team. The moment the alarm sounded, every single person in that village had a designated role.
Yep. From rowing boats to securing the nets to wielding harpoons.
It's the ultimate group project, where the grade was quite literally the survival of the community through a brutal Scandinavian winter.
And that's why the gulating law was so strict about it. If someone messed up their role, the whale escapes and the village starves.
Wow. High stakes. And they eventually used traditional tools like harpoons and arrows for the final capture, right?
Yes, but only after wearing the animal down for days,
Yeah.
keeping it panicked, keeping it moving.
Just incredible. This blend of legal frameworks, massive stone infrastructure, and multi-day community coordination, it entirely shifts our view of medieval maritime societies.
It really redefines how we see their intelligence and adaptability.
Absolutely. So just to kind of bring it all together, we've gone from looking at a mysterious 25-meter belt of stones and a 15-meter mound near Televåg to unlocking a centuries-old maritime strategy completely backed by the gulating law.
And I just have to emphasize, underwater archaeological sites are rarely preserved this clearly. The ocean usually just scatters everything.
Because of the storms and currents.
Exactly. Making this site a true crown jewel of evidence for organized, large-scale medieval whale trapping in Scandinavia.
It's amazing. And it's a great reminder that true intelligence isn't just about modern technology. We think microchips make us smarter. But it's actually about how perfectly you can adapt to your environment using the tools in the community you have.
They engineered a permanent solution to starvation using the ocean itself.
Yeah, they really did. Which leaves us with a final staggering thought to mull over.
Oh, I like where this is going.
If a massive 25-meter-long engineered stone structure and a towering rock mound managed to hide in plain sight just off the coast of a modern village for 1,000 years.
Right under our noses.
Exactly. What other massive pieces of human ingenuity are sitting right off our shores, perfectly hidden beneath the tide, just waiting to completely rewrite the history of how our ancestors lived?
Okay, one question for you. How does the discovery of 1,000-year-old underwater stone structure near Grindasund challenge our current understanding of medieval coastal communities in Norway and their ability to engineer large-scale marine hunting systems? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.